My name is Emily. I'm 34 years old, married to Adam for almost 10 years. We met in college, and from the very beginning I knew he was everything I wanted: ambitious, kind, patient. We built a peaceful life together in the suburbs, filled with cozy routines, shared dreams, and mutual respect. Adam has a younger brother, Jack, who is 2 years younger. Jack is charming in a different way, more free-spirited, spontaneous, and bold. He had always been the fun uncle to our 2 kids. Someone who could light up a room with his energy. For years I thought of him as a brother. Nothing more. Until that summer. Adam had to travel for work more often that year. He was up for a promotion and couldn't afford to say no to long client visits. Jack, always supportive, offered to help. He'd come over to babysit the kids, mow the lawn, or just keep me company on lonely evenings. First I welcomed it. It was comforting to have someone around who felt like family. But slowly something changed. Jack started looking at me a little longer than usual. He'd offer compliments that felt heavier. "You look stunning today, Em," he'd say with eyes that lingered. Or, "If Adam doesn't appreciate what he has, someone else surely will." I laughed them off at first. I was married. He was my brother-in-law. This wasn't supposed to happen. But when you're feeling alone in a marriage, vulnerable, even words can become dangerous. One night, the kids were asleep and I had just finished a glass of wine. Jack was in the kitchen helping me clean up after dinner. We were talking about dreams we had as kids, things we gave up, how life had changed us. The conversation turned personal. He reached out, touched my hand gently, and said, "Sometimes I think I should have met you first." The room went silent. I pulled my hand away and told him, "This isn't right, Jack. You're Adam's brother." He apologized immediately and left that night without another word. But everything had changed. After that night I avoided Jack. I stopped inviting him over. I told Adam I was feeling overwhelmed and just needed quiet evenings. But Adam noticed something was off. "You and Jack used to get along so well. Did something happen?" he asked one night. I wanted to tell him, but how could I? What would it do to their relationship? Their childhood bond? Would he even believe me? So I stayed silent. And in that silence, guilt began to grow. Guilt for what happened, for not telling the truth, for protecting someone who didn't deserve it. Weeks passed. Jack started texting again, this time with vague messages. "I miss talking to you." It wasn't just me, was it? I knew I had to confront him. I called Jack and told him to meet me at the cafe downtown. I told Adam I had errands. Sitting across from Jack, I looked him in the eyes and said, "You crossed a line. You disrespected my marriage, your brother, and me. Whatever you think happened, it ends now." Jack tried to explain, tried to say he didn't mean to fall for me. But I didn't let him speak for long. "You need to stay away. For your brother's sake. And mine." That night, I told Adam everything. There were tears. Anger. Disbelief. He stared at me for a long time and said nothing. Then he asked the question I feared most. "Why didn't you tell me when it happened?" I broke down. I told him I didn't want to break their bond or cause a rift in the family. But I realized too late that hiding it was a betrayal in itself. Adam didn't speak to Jack for months after that. Our home felt different, quieter, colder. But slowly we began rebuilding. We started therapy. We began talking honestly again. I realized that loyalty to your partner sometimes means telling hard truths, even if they hurt. Today things are better, but not perfect. Trust, once broken, takes time to mend. Adam and I are learning how to trust again. Jack moved away. We haven't spoken since. I sometimes replay those moments in my mind, wondering what I could have done differently. But I've learned that in relationships, boundaries must be fiercely protected. Silence is not always kindness, and love must be safeguarded even from those closest to us. After I confessed everything to Adam, the silence in our house was louder than any argument we'd ever had. He didn't yell. He didn't storm out. He just withdrew. And that scared me more than anything. At night we lay on opposite sides of the bed, not touching. During the day we tiptoed around each other, speaking only when necessary. I saw the pain in his eyes and I knew I had caused it, not just because of what happened but because I had waited so long to tell him. Trust, once fractured, doesn't shatter all at once. It crumbles slowly, piece by piece, with every withheld truth. And still I waited. I waited for him to ask me to leave. I waited for the word divorce to pass his lips. But it never did. One evening I found a notebook on Adam's desk. The cover was bent, worn at the edges. I hesitated, then opened it. It wasn't a journal. It was a collection of letters. Letters addressed to Jack. To me. To himself. In them, Adam poured out everything he couldn't say aloud. Anger, betrayal, confusion. But also, hope. Painful, stubborn hope that maybe we could find a way back. I sat on the floor, notebook in my lap, and cried for the first time in weeks. Inspired by him, I began writing too. Letters I never intended to send. I wrote about the loneliness I felt when he was away. About the guilt I carried every day. About how I wished Jack had never crossed that line. Because it stole something I could never get back. There came a day, after weeks of silence, when Adam finally spoke. "Do you still love me?" I nodded before he could even finish the question. "Yes. With everything I have." He didn't ask for details. He didn't want to relive the night. Instead he asked, "Are you willing to fight for this?" And I said yes again. We started going to therapy, not just to fix what was broken but to understand why it broke in the first place. It wasn't about blaming Jack, though his betrayal was the catalyst. It was about us. About the ways we had grown apart, the walls we had unknowingly built. Healing was not immediate. There were setbacks. Moments where a word, a memory would trigger pain all over again. But we kept showing up. Day after day. For each other. A few months later, Jack came by to pick up some of his things he had left behind. He looked different. Older somehow. Regret etched into every line on his face. He tried to speak to Adam, but Adam didn't respond. Not out of hatred, but because he had nothing left to say. Then he turned to me. "I never meant to hurt anyone, but I did. I'm sorry." I didn't say I forgave him. I wasn't ready for that, but I nodded. Sometimes that's all we can give. And then he was gone. Over time, Adam and I began to feel like partners again. We'd cook together, take long walks after the kids were in bed, and even laugh again. Slowly the warmth returned. Not the naive kind we had before, but something more mature. More resilient. We were no longer the same people we were before Jack crossed the line. And maybe that was okay. We learned to set firmer boundaries with everyone in our lives. We learned to check in, to speak up, to listen when the other was silent. Most of all, we learned that love isn't just about passion and comfort. It's about choosing each other, even when things get messy and hard. Years later, I still think about that summer. About how close we came to falling apart. About how betrayal can come from those closest to you. But I don't look back with regret. Because from the rubble of that experience we built something stronger. Something real. I share this story not for sympathy, but because I know someone out there is struggling with betrayal, confusion, and silence. If that's you, I want you to know you're not alone. Have you ever been in a situation where someone crossed a line and you didn't know how to respond? Have you stayed silent to protect a relationship, only to realize the silence caused more harm? If this story touched your heart, I invite you to open up in the comments below. Share your truth, your experience, your healing journey. You never know who you might help by speaking out. And if you want to hear more emotional, real-life stories about relationships, infidelity, forgiveness, and growth, please subscribe to the channel, give this story a like, and share it with someone who might need it. Your support allows me to continue telling these stories that matter, stories that heal, and stories that connect us all. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of your heart.